everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Words of Art podcast. I'm your host, Dion Sanchez, and in this episode, I love to think of it as a collaboration episode where we discuss many fun topics, and it doesn't have to do with mental health. So in this episode, we are talking about movies, and joining me is Danielle and Jackie, host of No More Late Fees podcast. So thank you for joining me.
I think you have to start over.
Can you guys hear me or see me?
I think you have to start over from when you introduced us because it froze like right there.
Okay. Thank you for joining me, Jackie and Danielle, host of the No More Late Fees podcast.
Thank you. We're so excited to be on.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I'm excited to talk about some of our favorite movies.
Yeah.
Our favorite topic, obviously.
And I mean, I know that you normally cover mental health, but I feel like movies are so important to our mental health in a lot of ways. And sometimes they affect us, maybe not the best, but I think that's one of the reasons we started the podcast was because of the Panini. And going back to our nostalgia was actually helping us get through very difficult times. So I think we're in line with your normal podcasting choices for your episodes.
I think so too. I feel like it's a good coping strategy to kind of, you don't want to get sucked in where you're just all you're doing is watching TV and movies. But I think just that little mental escape for 2 hours where you can go and just watch something that kind of brightens your mood is always helpful. Just kind of reset your psyche.
Yeah.
So absolutely. I love movies, and I do think movies does have a way of putting us in a good mind space or uplifting our spirits, whether it's binge watching movies and having ice cream or popcorn. Movies does have the power to help with our emotions in some way. So I'm very glad to have you guys on and talk about movies, which I absolutely love movies. So.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you would like to start, Danielle or Jackie, as far as your top 5.
Sure. I'll go. So, on our podcast, we talk about movies from 1995 to 2005. So Dion asked us to pick our favorite movies in the 90s and 2000s. So that's like a treat for us. So I guess I'll start with my number 5 choice, which was it was really hard. I feel like I had a tiebreaker. I had a 3-way tiebreaker, and then I just had to say, okay, it is what it is. So number 5 is Drive Me Crazy. And that's a special one. That's me and Jackie's like official movie. Number 4 is Crooklyn, which I did for my birthday movie on our podcast. My Girl 2, I watched that a lot. And I don't care. Judge me if you want. It's an amazing movie. Number 2 is Bring It On. And number 1 is what is my background, which is Clueless. It's so good. I feel like I'll be 90 and I will watch this movie and feel joy.
Awesome. I never saw Drive Me Crazy. I have to be honest. I think that has Melissa Joan Hart.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's an underrated. It's because it came out when all those teen comedies were coming out, and I just feel like it fell under the radar. But it's legit good.
Yeah, I watched it fairly recently, and I still like it.
So you picked Clueless as your number 1, which we literally just discussed a few moments ago. Why Clueless as your number 1? I'm curious. It's an awesome movie, and I've seen it a gazillion times.
I mean, for me, it was almost like, there's these movies that you go and see in the theater or you watch at home, and it's just like life-changing for you. I know that sounds silly, but my mom took me to see this movie because at that time I hadn't met Jackie yet. So my mom was my best friend. So we went to see it, and it was really cool because at that point, if you think about it, there weren't a ton of teen movies of the things that you experienced or idolized or wanted to do, besides maybe on like TV shows, but not movies. And just the world that they were living in was so far removed from my regular life, but also very relatable at the same time. And then for me, from a representation standpoint, Dion was such an iconic character. And for me to have, a Black teenage girl that I grew up in the suburbs with a lot of white people. So I didn't always feel like I got those characters that weren't being made fun of or put down for liking certain things. And so Dion just was like high tier for me. And there's so many movies where there's a Black best friend, but she had her own storyline. Mm-hmm. She had her own characteristics, and her life wasn't defined as being completely in support of Cher's storyline. So it felt like they were equals. And I very much enjoyed that. I know the movie is very much about Cher, but you feel like you get a good enough storyline with Dion. And she has a separate life where she has, like a Black group of friends as well. That's probably separate than Cher, but she still can come together with Cher at the same time. So all of those things, the clothing, the music, it was a cultural reset for all of us. It ushered into that like late 90s, early 2000s bling situation and aesthetics. And I think it's still like inspiring all these other movies. So I love it. I can go on for days. I can't wait to Clueless on our show.
And yeah, I keep saying, oh, we need to do Clueless or Mean Girls. And Danielle's like, I'm not ready yet.
It just feels like such a special treat. I don't know why. I'm sure we just need to do it, but I think I could do like 3 episodes on Clueless alone.
That might be a two-parter. Yes, Clueless is just a remarkable movie. I've seen it like a zillion times, and it sort of borderline centers on friendship, even though Cher's like the star of it.
Yeah.
There's not, I could be wrong. I was born in the 90s, so my 90s movie knowledge might not be as expansive as yours, but there wasn't really a lot of movies that sort of centered on friendship or was about friendship, really, as far as I was concerned. There was a lot of romance and action, Denzel, all those type of movies that were being released. So Clueless is a really classic treasure. And of course, that awesome song, which I'm pretty sure, even if you haven't seen the movie, you would know the song, because it's sort of iconic, like rolling with the home.
The entire soundtrack is iconic. When you said song, I was like, which one, Dion? Because the whole soundtrack is a banger.
The soundtrack is a banger. And we'll get into like the soundtrack of movies a little bit later. That's like that fun special treat I spoke with you about as far as movie soundtracks. But yeah, just Rolling with the Homies is like always cemented in my head.
Well, Jackie, I'm sure, is probably going to talk about the ska in this.
Oh, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones is that's the scene I went to for iconic song, because I grew up when I was in high school. I listened to a lot of pop and punk, and Mighty Mighty Boss Tones are kind of top echelon. And for them to also be in Clueless, it's like, how can you get cooler than that?
Yeah, Amy Heckerling, the director, she deserves all the flowers. She does not. To think about it at that time, how she directed that movie, how hands-on she was. If you notice, none of the girls are wearing like anything too crazy low cut.
Yep.
She still wanted them to look like they were in high school, but still have that high-end, designer wear. She didn't over-sexualize them completely or anything like that. And I love watching the behind the scenes of just how she made that movie. It's just so freaking good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Jackie, I'm curious about your top 5.
Well, mine are gonna differ slightly from Danielle, and I will preface this in saying favorite is really, really hard for me because I'm like, what genre do you want? Like,
because she could do a whole list of Disney.
Yeah,
alone.
I have a PDF of my Disney rankings, which are separate from the Pixar rankings.
Yes.
So, I chose movies that kind of were influential to me in some way. I have a film degree. And so these were movies where when I went and saw them, I had like a very strong reaction to them and the way that they were made. And so my number 5 is Sleepers. It's a really sad story. It's a sad movie, but the acting and the directing is just superb in it. And it's a story that needed to be told. And for it to come out into the 90s and deal with like abuse and pedophilia and stuff like that, those are really, really important topics that people need to know about. And it was just so incredibly well done. So if you haven't seen Sleepers, I highly recommend it. Brad Pitt and his like top tier Brad Pittness is in it.
His that spiky hair, man.
Yeah. Kevin Bacon. I have a few actors where I've seen them in roles, and Danielle will say like they're so good that they make you have this reaction. But Kevin Bacon is one of them in this movie. He is such an awful, awful garbage human that it's really hard for me to like him in other roles. Like I cannot separate Kevin Bacon from his role in Sleepers. It's so good. So that's my number 5. My number 4 is Fever Pitch. I have really strong ties, and obviously you'll notice a theme, and she's right here. And it's weird because I don't even like if someone says like, who's your favorite actress? I like Drew Barrymore never pops into my head, but she's a constant in some of my favorite movies. So Fever Pitch, I grew up a Red Sox fan. My dad was a dedicated Red Sox fan. And it's one of those movies that makes me really, really happy. And I just think it's really funny. And I think that one's really well done too. I think the chemistry is great between Drew and Jimmy Fallon. So that's my number 4. My number 3, I am a Kevin Smith stan for life. And so my number 3 is Dogma. And that was another movie where just after watching it in the theaters, like I just sat there and I was like, wow, like this guy is a genius. He's doing something here. He knows it's going to get a reaction, and probably not a positive reaction from some groups of people, but he's telling his story, and his writing is incredible. And I like lowbrow humor. So Kevin Smith is just, he's always a favorite of mine. Number 2, again with my Drew, is Scream. We've done Scream on the podcast, and it's just all around top tier movie. Like can't find anything wrong with it, and it really jump started the new brand of horror and slasher films for the 90s and moving on, because they still use that formula today. Like it's always a kid that you didn't expect that was part of the core group of people. It's very standard now. It's so well done. And then it has Matthew Lillard in it. So
love Matthew Lillard. That is one common thread on our show is how many ways can we throw Matthew Lillard into a conversation?
Yes.
I only really ever seen him in 3 movies. Both I think with Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yeah, I mean 90% of his movies are with Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna drive me crazy. The other movie, it's like a baseball movie.
Oh, Summer
Catch.
Yes.
So out of all the Matthew Lillard, that's what you saw?
No, I'm sure. I'm sure. like you said, he's in a lot of movies. I've
Yeah.
only been able to explore 3.
So it's you've seen Scream.
I have not seen.
Oh, okay. Why don't we do this before I just start naming out names? What are the 3 that you've seen him in?
Catch, She's All That,
Uh-huh.
and Scooby-Doo, which I think is past. It's in the 2000s, but I don't think it's.
No, it's in our time frame. The Scooby-Doo movies are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
I probably should see Scream because he's in it.
Yeah.
yes.
Along with a bunch of other awesome actresses, including Drew Barrymore, who has like that Scream face with the phone and I've seen the scenes. I'm not a big on horror flicks, but I know that's
Same.
a really iconic horror movie, and they even brought it. I could be wrong on my information. They brought it back recently, or they've been promoting or discussing it quite a bit.
They did a 5th movie, but we haven't seen it yet. So
Yeah.
yeah. Which is very upsetting.
I do applaud all the actors or movies you guys have mentioned and what their work, and they're just awesome at what they do, and whether it's sadness or drama or a comedy, they do a good job of entertaining us as an audience.
Yeah. And my number 1 movie is My Background, 50 First Dates. It's just if I'm having a bad day, this is my go-to movie. I put it on, I immediately feel better. On my bucket list is to own this car. It's called a Kubawagen. In the stateside, it's called a Thing, but the German name for it is a Kubawagen. But I really want that car. I think Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler obviously have great chemistry, as they've done multiple movies together now. And it just makes me happy. The music's great in it. The acting, I think, is great. You have some really memorable characters. It makes me feel good. So that's my number 1.
And what about you, Dion?
First off, I love your number 1. I've seen it, so you can't like hammer me too much because I've actually seen it, and it's a really heartwarming film, and just the many start of Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler's collaborations. As far as, and I'm pretty sure I got my movie logic right on this. Their most recent movie was Blended.
Yeah.
And it was such a great movie, and having them, I don't know how many years had passed since they did a movie together at that point, a pretty great deal of time. So to have them come together and not lose a hitch as far as their chemistry and comedic gold is just brilliant. So my top 5, they were either on cable or VHS. So I'll start with my 5th one, which was Knight's Tale, which I have right here.
That's a really good one.
Yeah, Heath Ledger is amazing.
Stars Heath Ledger, and it has like rock and roll music, modern music a bit, with a mix of Renaissance, and that was like a golden era in a way, Renaissance, romance, jousting, sports, and him just wanting to prove himself and find his stars. Or no, that's not the quote. A man can change his stars.
Yes.
A man can change his stars. And he's from noble breeding. He didn't grow up with much, and he just wants to find himself. And even though it started out as a lie, so will I. How did a nobleman become noble? And it's an incredible movie. Initially it was about him like jousting and even through a lie, but he ended up finding romance, and it has a good blend. I saw the behind the scenes feature of it and how they incorporated everyone into the movie and their personalities and how they wanted to keep modernism and also the Renaissance love of it as well. And if the movie didn't have anything else going for it except for Heath Ledger, who was an incredible actor, the soundtrack and the music they use in that movie is just astounding, and I think really sets the tone for
we're
the
losing
whole
you.
movie, honestly. Did you can you hear me now?
We can hear you now. You started to
Talk
when
about
you
the soundtrack.
That's when it
Yeah.
started going off.
Sure, of course, my internet would act up during my most favorite episode. So the soundtrack is really iconic. It has Queen,
David Bowie.
David Bowie, yes, Golden Years, which was played during their little dance sequence. And it's just a really incredible movie, and I've seen it so many times. I recently got the DVD because your girl now has a job, so I can actually buy things like this. And instead of waiting for it to appear free on Amazon or Netflix, because some movies are really rare and you don't want to pay money for them. You want to wait for them to be free. And now I can watch it without having to pay anything. So
awesome.
That's awesome.
That is my fifth choice. My fourth choice is Crossroads. I love that movie, and I believe it was either last week or this week. It premiered 20 years ago this month.
It was last week. Yeah, we shared because we did that episode, and it was so much fun. And we didn't realize that Shonda Rhimes, the creator of Grey's Anatomy, she wrote that movie. Very exciting. That made me very happy.
It's just such a great movie. I mean, they were childhood friends, and they grew up apart and lost touch, which, I mean, I've come to the realization now that does happen. Your friends aren't going to stay your friends forever, especially at least when you were little, as much as you like to think that. But they reunited through a time capsule and decided to go on this epic road trip. And it's such a great movie, and they like regain their friendship and learn more about themselves. And it was a starring role for Britney Spears as well, who was like, this is a debate as far as her being the pop princess of the 90s, but I'll say one of the pop princesses of the 90s, because I am a Christina Aguilera fan as well. So and Zoe Saldana, who stars in a lot of movies. I think there is one movie recently. It's called The Addams Project. Which,
The Adam Project is coming out.
Showed a trailer. So just from the trailer alone, she's still a badass as far as her acting goes. And the other actress that starred in it was Taryn Manning. Except for that film, I haven't really seen her in anything else. But it's just such a great movie, and just it centers on friendship, really. I mean, yeah, there's romance, and I love rock and roll. Great soundtrack was really through Britney Spears, obviously, but it just centers on friendship, and friendship is such a powerful thing to hold on to. And so that is my number fourth choice. My third choice, I changed last night because initially it was Clueless. But I went with Coyote Ugly.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I like that one.
My interpretation is basically it's like Hooters before Hooters in a way. I don't know how long Hooters have been around, and I don't really want to, I guess
Hooters came before Coyote Ugly.
Okay, so maybe they were influenced by that a little bit, but it's a great movie. It stars, I have like my own little bio for it. It stars Violet Stanford, who wants to make it big as far as a singer or songwriter, but she's a bit shy. She doesn't have the confidence in herself to actually, she does go to New York to fully pursue it. I will give her that. She wants to put herself out there, but she's getting rejected left and right. And in line of that rejection, she gets robbed at a not so safe apartment in New York City. So she is scrambling. How am I supposed to make it in the music business if I don't have any money to produce music tapes or CDs? I think it was tapes at that point because of that era. But so she decides to work at a bar called Coyote Ugly's. And I think it was really through her working in that bar, she actually exuberated confidence through that. She she was dancing on a bar, but she became more confident and eventually started singing. And I don't know.
I guess it's not letting me do it on my Zoom. So why don't we stop, and then I'm going to email you, Dion, my link for Zoom, and then it won't stop us. Okay, hold. Let's hop off, and I'll email you right now.
Okay, my choices. My third choice was Coyote Ugly. I changed it from Clueless, which is also another iconic movie. It's an incredible movie, and basically, you'll go to any lengths to succeed. And she has nobody really wants to work in a bar, but she's willing to do what it takes to make some money. And she ends up finding confidence in herself through it, and initially ends up in a showcase, and like displays her talents and gets her dreams come true as a result of it. And there's a bit of romance. I am a romantic, as I don't know if some of you guys have picked up from some of my choices. I am romantic. And I honestly, and I'll be honest, I initially thought, and I saw this probably when I was really, really little. I initially thought the songs she wrote, I initially thought the songs that were played throughout the movie she wrote. I had no idea it was LeAnn Rimes, but I do find it interesting that they like gave her a cameo towards the end of the movie, singing her own songs, which is pretty cool.
I don't know. Did she write Can't Fight the Moonlight, or was that Diane Warren?
No, she wrote Can't Fight the Moonlight.
Oh, I thought someone else wrote it. I just thought she sung it.
I mean,
no, you're right. I mean, I learned something new. Had no idea.
Right. As far as I know, just because you sing the song, I guess doesn't necessarily mean you wrote it. But
no,
I was under the impression that she wrote it and sung the song. But I do.
No, Diane Warren wrote it.
Piper Tebow does know how to actually sing.
Yeah, she has a decent voice.
And I think that's highlighted a little bit in the movie Because I Said So, starring I might get the actress's name wrong. I want to say not Diane. It's one of the
Diane Keaton. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say Diane Keaton. And Lauren Graham, who's in Gilmore Girls, which I'm a big fan of that show as well. And
I don't know if Lauren Graham can sing though, and because I was just watching Because I Said So literally the other day during Valentine's Day, and there's a show called Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, and that first season Lauren Graham was on, but she was singing, and I was just like, why did they cast her? I love Lauren Graham, but she's not a singer.
Maybe they ad-lib some of the singing. But it's just a great movie, and it also stars Tyra Banks, who is like a superstar at this point, model, actress. I mean, I don't know if she did all that much acting aside from Coyote Ugly.
She was in Higher Learning by John Singleton's movie. So she was also on before Coyote Ugly came out, she was also on Fresh Prince. And she was briefly in Love and Basketball. So by that point, she had been doing a few things.
I was like, we watched a movie and she was a flight attendant. What was that movie?
It was Love and Basketball. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And I've seen Love and I would have never picked up on that connection.
She's only there for a little bit. You forget she's in it.
It was literally like she walked into the scene and my husband and I both looked at each other and we're like, is that Tyra Banks? Because it's so unexpected.
But yeah, she's a superstar, pretty much has her own show and is like a living brand at this point. Aside from, I know she did act a little. She did Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and she did appear on a 90s sitcom called All That briefly. which is also a great show as well, as far as comedic brilliance, and has a diverse cast as far as Kenan Thompson, Lori Beth Denberg, just a really awesome cast. So, but yeah, Coyote Ugly, incredible movie. I have literally probably 3 or 4 of the songs in my phone, honestly. So on to my second choice, which I'm laughing because Danielle, you shared your choice. Didn't have time to change mine. I changed my third choice from Clueless to Coyote Ugly. So my second choice is Bring It On too.
Bring It On. It's great. I'm happy to share Bring It On at the 2 spot. It is a fabulous movie.
It is a really good movie.
It's such a good movie. And like I said, your girl has money now, so I had to get I actually literally probably saw this on either VHS or cable. It was probably I saw it like 1,000 times when I was little. It just is such a great movie, and even though I was probably oblivious to it at the time as far as stereotypes and how the white culture can take something that is Black and put their own spin on it, not adding credit where credit's due. They do a good job of depicting that, I feel. It's like, oh, putting some white hair on it and calling it something different.
Yeah, they tackled that, I think, in a way that I think even from the white consumption, it was not even like, I don't even know if they even understood that that's what was happening.
Yeah.
But it was really smart the way that they did it.
It was appropriation before like people started really talking about appropriation.
Yeah, before white people started talking about it.
Yeah.
But yes, it's an awesome movie. Cheerleading, rivalry. Was there anything else? There was a little bit of romance, but that's not really why I love the movie. I just love it for the cheerleading, and every little girl wants to be a cheerleader or finds cheerleading to be really, really fun. And I just love it. And as far as, I'm sure there's other movies that came out around that time, but it's one of the rare movies that I was exposed to that had African American starring in it and a white actress starring in it. Like they were both starring in Gabrielle Union and Kristen Dunst. It wasn't just one person show. It was highlighting both sides of it and how we're not going to take charity from you or standing true to who she is. Like we're going to find this money on our own as far as the cheerleading competition and finding the funds for Gabrielle Union's character, which I can't remember right now what her character's name is. I know her cheerleading scar is
Isis.
Yeah. Yes, Isis. So it's just a great movie. As far as just everything about it. The soundtrack is pretty good. I think I only know I have one song from the soundtrack, to be honest, and that's As If, by Black, who also starred in it as well, who did a pretty good job as far as acting goes. I don't know if they went on to act in anything else. I just know them for being in a cheerleading movie, but it's an incredible movie, and I completely agree with Danielle as far as it being her second choice as well. My number one choice, it's not a surprise because I had the VHS tape of this. I've seen it numerous times. Like, my dad even makes fun of me because probably the song that's played in it, I hear it all the time, or I sung it all the time. And the movie is 10 Things I Hate About You. I can explain the whole synopsis of it really, but pretty much it's an incredible movie. Cameron, who is a new student at the school, he's trying to fit in, get his bearings. He's an army brat apparently, and he stumbles upon Bianca, everybody's dream girl. Although I don't see how that's possible, but she's pretty. I wouldn't like.
Shade. I love it.
I mean, she is standing next to Gabrielle Union, so
Yeah,
I kind of feel that.
See, okay. Sorry, Dion, just one thing. But that is the kind of shit, excuse my language, I'm so sorry. That is the kind of stuff that are like microaggressions that people don't even realize when you have, so you have white producers behind the scenes saying, okay, let's add some diversity. We'll have the best friend be Black. But then you have some crazy thought process that the white girl is the prettiest girl in the whole school standing next to Gabrielle Union. Like, how make that make sense?
Larissa Oleynik is
she's pretty.
Very pretty. But I mean, Gabrielle Union is like top tier. Like Gabrielle Union is gorgeous. And anyone standing next to her, you're going to be like, really? Is that what we're going with?
Yeah, it's very, it's giving me, and I don't want people to kill me for this, but I get very confused when everyone says that like Jennifer Aniston is like the most beautiful thing in the whole wide world. I don't get that. I think she's pretty. She has beautiful hair. She's got great comedic timing, but would she be even in my top 20 of the most beautiful women? No, not it.
I think it goes back to what Tyra would say on America's Next Top Model, which is like the beauty that you look for and kind of what makes you stand out are those things that are unique to you. So if you just look like average pretty, like there's nothing extraordinary about you. Whereas like you look at it like Angelina Jolie with the big eyes and the big lips and the exaggerated features. And that's a much more interesting pretty to look at.
For Angelina Jolie, I feel like her packaging she is applauded for having what is deemed as exotic characteristics or features when it's really just features of people of color, Black people on a white person in a different packaging. And for her, it's fine. But for many Black girls growing up, having big lips was made fun of. Yeah. And we were put down for having those features or having a big butt. And then J-Lo came and it was a packaging that could be more digestible. So it's just, beauty standards as a whole we already know it's messed up. Yeah. Unfortunately. And sorry, we went down this rabbit hole. So go ahead, Dion.
Agree with you. I do find it to be an odd direction as far as putting, I mean, she is a beautiful girl in Larissa Oleynik, but to put her next to Gabrielle Union, I don't know if that was a good choice. That's just my opinion. But Cameron sees her, is taking over heels, and basically decides to scheme his way into winning this girl. And resorts to using Joey Donner, who's like the high school prick of the school, because he has money, he's rich, he doesn't care. He uses him to pay Heath Ledger, whose character is Patrick Verona, and to paying Kat, who is played by Julia Stiles, I'm going to pay you to take out Kat so I can date her sister. Like I hope you're there, Danielle.
Yeah, we're here.
I was worried the internet was being weird and I'm using my phone, so it shouldn't be. It's just it all started with a bet and scheming and plotting. But the key core characters is obviously Heath Ledger and Julia Stiles, and he's like a bad boy and she's like in a way like I wouldn't say an activist. Maybe that's not the right word. She's an open-minded, really speaks her truth and doesn't really give a shit. I rarely cuss on my show, but I don't care at this point.
Sorry.
It's a really good show. It has little Shakespeare and Romeo and Juliet and black and white as far as their characters go. And I have to say, probably one of the most memorable movie scenes is literally Heath Ledger using his money, realizing, hey, this girl is actually great. I don't want to do this anymore. He actually uses the money to win her over in a way by this gesture of using the PA system, which I don't know how he pulled this off, using the PA system to play. I think the song is Frankie Valli. Can't Take My Eyes Off of You. I'm pretty sure he's the original artist of that song.
Yep.
And just has a whole basically performance on the school stadium or school ground or football field during her soccer practice, and is like so romantic with the microphone and then he gets in trouble and still keeps up with it, like smacking the guard's butt and just like, I'm in trouble, what I got to lose. So just, it's such a memorable scene, and I just love this movie so much. And it was really a starting movie, if not really branched the careers of many of the stars that were in it. I mean, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character was mediocre, but he ended up starring in incredible movies in the future to come. And I did pick up on your I don't know if it was you who showed this video. I do follow movies on Instagram sometimes, aside from yours, which is awesome, obviously.
Thanks.
10 Things I Hate About You was really what led Julia Stiles into the role of Save the Last Dance, which is an incredible movie. And I also had it on VHS, another honorable mention of a movie, which depicts an interracial couple, which that was a beautiful interpretation of that. And I don't know if the actor's name, I don't think the actor's name was Spike Lee, but he may have been related to him. It's gonna drive me crazy. But
it's Sean Patrick Thomas was the actor.
Yes.
I don't know if they're related. That would be news to me, but you never know.
Well, the director, he was a Black director. I at least know that.
Oh, so you think the director's related to Spike Lee? Let me check.
I think, I'm not sure, but it was just a beautiful movie. And I mean, interracial couples it's a trick. I wouldn't say a tricky topic, but it's possibly a debatable topic for a lot of those who don't think that should be explored, or a bit narrow-minded when it comes to it. And the movie does a good job of touching on that a bit. I rewatched it multiple times, and I did like how it was directed. And it's like, it's not about Black or white, it's about the love we have for each other. And I think Sean Patrick Thomas did a good job of pointing that out to Julia Stiles. Like, who cares what everybody thinks? I pushed my friend in the face because of you. I'm turning back on people I know my whole life because of you. And she's like, it's her, what's the word? She holds back because of a conflict with his sister. She sees it as, we're two separate people, we shouldn't be together because of other people's opinions. He doesn't see it that way. And obviously it's centered on dancing and her love of dance and blending the ballet and the hip hop, which is beautifully done. And it does a good job of directing. It really, really does. It's about romance and dance, but it touches on really hardcore topics like, you're Black and you're white. You're from the suburbs and I'm from south side of Chicago. I think it was Chicago, not Chicago. One of the cities of Chicago, and they've been grown up really differently. She sees the life a certain way. He could have gone the bad boy route because of his friend, but he didn't. So they do a good job of showcasing that they do come from two different worlds, but if they love each other enough, then that should subside everything else or so. But that's an awesome movie starring her. But 10 Things I Hate About You is my number one choice. It will always be my number one choice. And I highlighted Heath Ledger in 2 of these movies. He's an incredible actor and passed away way too soon.
Yeah.
In my honest opinion, as far as other movies he starred in, I do know them. I could have missed some. He starred in Brokeback Mountain. I don't know what that was about. Brokeback Mountain. I don't remember the name of the actor. I think it's Jake Gyllenhaal, which depicts a gay romance centered on cowboys, which I did not see, though I've been open to seeing it. And the other movie he starred in was Casanova. He was it's like a romantic scenario. I don't know if that's the right word. He was incredible in that. And of course, the most notable role, God rest his soul, is him playing the Joker in The Dark Knight.
With Joseph Gordon-Levitt again.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that. I didn't think of that.
Oh wait, no, sorry. That's the last movie. He's not in. I don't think he's in that one with them. They're not in it together.
Okay.
But they're still in the same franchise.
Yeah, they just don't play together.
Yeah.
Good movie connection. Just like your gift, which was so much fun, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
But he's just an incredible actor, and he should still be here. He's just so incredible, great. I was gonna do an icebreaker game, but since I'm on my phone, it doesn't work. But I'll name these songs, and maybe you can figure out what movies they were in.
Sure.
So I'm doing 3. I had more, but since I'm on my phone, it works out that I made it short. Okay. So the first song is FNT by Semisonic. How does the song go? Fascinating new thing. You surprise me.
Oh, that one's 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah, that's 10 Things I Hate About You.
So for those of you who are not aware, my audience here, I do love movies, but I also pay attention to the soundtracks in movies. And if you are like me, if you hear a song in a movie, I find it in my power to look it up and find a way to have that song. So I'm a queen of looking up songs when it comes to movies. So the next song, I think I can just say it and you might already know it. I don't even need to sing it. It's called Shining Through by Fredo Star. I see your true color.
Is that from Save the Last Dance?
Yes.
Yeah, because I remember he was in that movie.
Yes, he was.
And Moesha.
Well, I think his name was Malik. Not Malik. I don't know. I don't think it was Malik. Malachi.
Yeah.
So I ballpark of his name, Malachi. He did a good job as far as acting in that, and
he just played the same character from Moesha.
From Moesha. So the last song, it's still in the 2000 bracket. I don't know if anybody would have really paid attention to this song unless you saw the movie. It's called I Wanna Be Bad by Willa Ford. How does the song go? I don't know how
to be bad. Something makes me
feel
so good.
So good. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember the words. I'm horrible with that.
I feel like it's part of a montage, but I can't picture.
I mean, it is outside. I think it's Easy A.
It is not Easy A.
Oh.
Although Easy A is a good movie.
I love Easy A.
It's in Easy A, but I don't
remember it being in Easy A.
Is it not? Maybe. Okay, so what movie is it? I'm stumped.
Oh, see, I'm glad I was able to stump you on one of these at least. It is in What a Girl Wants with Amanda Bynes.
Oh, yes.
She makes a stumbling appearance onto what seems to be a fashion show. And
that's a good one.
Like runway walk, and the music that was played during that was brilliant and absolutely awesome. And I mean, she's not like this high society class of people. She plays by her own rules. So, and I do like that. I think she was in other movies. She was in Hairspray, but that was a really good movie as far as, I mean, she wanted to find her father. And she was willing to do what it takes to sustain a relationship with him, including change everything about herself, which you really shouldn't have to do.
Not for your dad.
Love you and accept you for who you are. And I mean, it may have been a bit late, but she did eventually realize for herself, like, you know what I miss? I miss being me. And this is me. And you can either take me or leave me. You left before. But that he didn't really leave. He didn't know about her. Let me make that clear. But
yeah.
It's a really great movie as well. And yes, that is the end of our little game. I do have an icebreaker question, which will work since we're still doing Zoom. So it is Black History Month. So I do have to highlight that. And it is the month of love. I do find it interesting that those connect in the same month. Because that is a beautiful blend. So if you had to date a Black actor, and it can be from any movie, I'll branch out as far as movies go in this one. Who would it be?
I already know Jackie's answer, but
I was leaning in.
But for me, it's so like Y2K. Danielle would have said Donald Faison, hands down. I was obsessed, but I think now I am very much appreciating all that Morris Chestnut has to bring to the table.
That's what I was thinking you would say. My forever Valentine is LL Cool J.
If we ever played the what's the Newlywed Game, we would win hands down.
Yeah.
Oh, Cool J. Oh, Oh, I will say this because it is a fun fact and a bit of background into not so much me, but I guess my dad really. He was, father like daughter, I guess, in a way. He was actually a radio personality.
Oh, cool.
Station called WRXP here in Florida. You may have heard of it, Danielle. I'm not entirely sure. I think it's, but I'm not entirely sure. But so he met all types of celebrities and stuff, and he actually met LL Cool J and has a picture and everything. I would show it, but I guess I can show it at another time. But so I can understand. Cool. The love of LL Cool J.
And he shows up on the screen and like that TikTok where it's just like your hair blows and you're like,
wild dreams.
Yes. I'm just like, oh, talk to me more, LL.
And what about you, Dion?
So I have to go the chocolate route. So there are rarely notable actors, but I'm also 26, so I can't go that. I can't go that far back as far as it, but if it's a toss up, I'm gonna go with a movie that was released 4 years ago this week, and that is Black Panther.
Ooh.
B. Jordan.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, when he walks into the museum with those gold rimmed glasses and his hair put up. Oh,
and when he opens his mouth and he has a grill.
He's
perfection.
He's just incredible. I think Black Panther is what did it for me as far as him being an actor. He did do a movie that came out on Amazon, Without Remorse, which I also saw, which was just brutal and awesome and really gritty. Killmonger, which no, that's not his name in it. In Black Panther, no,
it was Killmonger.
Yeah,
was his name.
Mm-hmm.
It was. I thought it was. Killmonger would be proud of him in actions without remorse. I mean, because he's like a CIA super agent, special forces. He comes home, his wife is pregnant.
Oh, don't spoil it for me. Haven't seen it yet.
I take it back.
I saw an ad for it the other day, and I was like, oh, I put it on my playlist because I do want to go back and watch it.
I was like, it's a good movie. He's a great actor, and aside from Without Remorse, and Black Cancer, the only other movie I can think of, which also has my other little boy as far as movies, is in The Awkward Moment with Zac Efron, which
that's a good one.
Miles Teller, who's a comedic actor. He does a good job of it, and I'm laughing. But for me, as far as Black Panther, he went to great lengths to portray that character, and it really affected him mentally as well, from what I've read. And the part which I melt into probably a bunch of liquids every single time is the scene where he speaks to T'Challa and the family and the council, and he's like he's like stone silent, and then one of the presidents or people in the panel's like, who are you, in some accent language, and he describes who he really is. And the most beautiful part, which has probably created a bunch of memes since this part, was he was like so sultry with it's like, hey auntie.
Yeah. And he ad-libbed that. That was fantastic.
Oh, I didn't know that. No wonder it's such a beautiful part.
Yeah.
But
oh wow.
I have to go with him and Wakanda Forever, because it was 4 years ago this week. And stars Chadwick Boseman, who is an incredible actor and just an all-around good-hearted person as far as his optimism and good-hearted nature in the community, and the fact that he was willing to fight an illness. I want to say it was cancer, for several years.
Yeah.
And still wanted to project joy and entertainment for us. Is just speaks volumes of his character and his heart. And he passed away too soon too. Yeah. But he was on the brink of he was basically gonna be he's already an icon, but he had the potential to do so much more.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and just that movie, if anything, aside from the incredible acting and Angela Bassett's in it, who's in every movie known to man, as far as
she should.
Yeah,
as
she's
so
good.
She's so good.
So good.
It's a movie that centers on Black actors and Black actresses. I mean, there was another man, I think it was Agent Wilson or Agent something, who was in it. He's good, and he was in Sherlock, that's the only reason I know him.
Disney wasn't going to give all that money with not one white person in there. He had to be in there. Martin Freeman is the actor, but
there are two, because Andy Serkis played Claw too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right.
The Hobbits.
Yeah.
But it's just, I think when it literally, I had my good movies that were my favorite, and it does play into the MC universe, which Jackie, I know you're a fan of. It was like I think literally when it came out, it became like my favorite superhero movie, because, and we saw it in theaters, me and my dad, and it's just such an incredible movie because it's centered on like Black culture and just superheroes. Like Black superheroes are in the spotlight. And I know it is based off a comic, but to just highlight that and showcase that.
I think it's also really good because it not only based on the comic book, but what it does is it poses a question, which is, where would we be from an Afrofuturism? Where would we be as a culture if there were no colonization, mm-hmm. if we were not interrupted, if we were not colonized at all? Mm-hmm. And I think that movie gives you one, as a Black person especially, I can't speak for everyone, it gives you this sense of just wondrous imagination and comfort, and to see yourself on screen, to see yourself being represented, and to see yourself being very true representation of what we can be and what we have been over the years, without all the trauma. Look how, yes, they're going through hard things, but it's not the trauma of, being oppressed, which I think is one of the best things about the movie, is that they had this entire country with all this culture, and there was no interruption from outsiders, which is futurism in a state, but it's also us looking back of what could have possibly been. That's how I looked at it.
Oh, I thought Jackie was going to say something.
But no, Black Panther is by far my favorite MCU movie. Thus far, I don't see how anything could possibly top it at this point. And it's definitely the one I've watched the most out of any of the MCU movies. It's so beautifully done and represents an underserved community. And it's such a powerful movie. I just love it.
It makes me cry every time, because it feels like it feeds the soul. For me, being like a comic book fan for so many years, it feels just, for me, what actually it feels like, because I went to a historically Black college, it feels like home. It feels very, because we do have pockets of those spaces that exist. And so it just felt like being able to almost share those experiences that I had at school, or in, what it feels like to have Black community. And that no matter how excited Black people were for that movie to come out, and then also for it to just extend, it showed that you could have stories written about us, for us, by us, and still be universal for everyone to enjoy and be a part of. Like, it doesn't have to be this separate thing, and it doesn't have to center around whiteness. Instead of, there's a lot of Black movies that are from the perception of white people, but you're putting Black actors in it. And I think it's really important to have a Black director, have a Black writer, have a Black costume, and Denzel Washington, I don't know if you saw a video about this, he talks about it's not just about being Black, it's about the culture behind it. He said that Martin Scorsese could make a movie, and it's not, and Steven Spielberg could make a movie, and Steven Spielberg could make the Martin Scorsese movie, and vice versa. But the difference is that they have a culture. When you have Schindler's List, you can have Martin Scorsese make it, but it's not going to be the same as when Steven Spielberg makes it, because it's about culture. You can't have, some of those movies that Martin Scorsese makes, because its culture is his Italian heritage. It's just different. And so it's not just about being Black, but it's about adding those aspects of culture that you just can't get from a different perspective. That's why inclusivity is so important and representation matters. Like, we watch a lot of movies now, and it's female. We realize there's no females that wrote on that movie. We could just tell, because when you have a female writer, when you have a female director, the lens and the thought process is completely different. And so I think we're just at a point now where everyone is tired of just having the same over and over again. We want all the rich culture that everyone has to bring, whether you're white, Black, Hispanic, anything, your religion, everybody should bring that to the table, because when you have that, that's what makes us human beings as one race so great. Why are we not trying to share in that? That's what's perplexing to me. I don't understand that, because we benefit from that. We benefit from learning from each other. That's one of the reasons I love my friendship with Jackie, is that, we'll never say that things are colorblind, because that takes away from each of our experiences. It's about being able to appreciate the cultures that we've come from and the things that we have to bring, but still having some middle ground of being able to have our own stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So
when you said historically Black college, I'm like, HBC, I learned that.
HBCU, yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Danielle. And I love that your friendship, you and Jackie's, are displayed through your podcast and through the guests you've had on. Inclusivity, I think that's the right term you use, is important. And I think what I like about my podcast specifically is that I allow people from all walks of life, Black, white, Hispanic, onto my show. Many people may be narrow-minded or hesitant to have them on, but like, I understand from just a regular standpoint, which can affect anyone being alone, being isolated, struggling with mental health, which I think mental health is a higher rate for African Americans. I don't know if this statistic is correct, but just in general, mental health affects everybody to every degree. And I want my podcast to be a form of acceptance and comfort, whether you're Black, white, Hispanic, atheist, Christian, all walks of life, because the world may not accept you or silence you, but I will not silence you. I accept you. So the world should be accepting of everyone in every culture, and it shouldn't be one Black lens or one white lens or white goggles or however people perceive it to be. The world is blended of all different types of cultures. We're a melting pot, if you will. And unfortunately, many people don't see it that way, and they should. So, and just to go on to Black History Month, many African Americans contributed to this American society and do not get accolades or highlighted in the way that they should. So it really should not just be Black History Month. It should be Black History Year, 10 years, 20 years. It should just be an ongoing thing to highlight that, and
it should just be American history. And I think that's the problem, you know. It should just, and not just Black history, Asian, like all the different, out of the entire world, the United States is one of the biggest melting pots there is. And this country was made on the backs of so many different people. Yeah. And everyone deserves to learn that. Everyone deserves to know that, because there's so many people that live in this country that feel like this country doesn't belong to them. And that is not the case. Everybody had a hand in building that. And there's a lot of people that had a hand in making this country not what it should be. And those people should learn about that as well, so that we can stop that trauma from continuing to happen. You know, it doesn't have to be like this. And it's just very unfortunate. But I do want to say that you do an amazing job of not just making your guests feel welcome, but when you listen to your show, you make every listener feel welcome. And the vulnerability that you've been able to showcase of just telling your story is so powerful. It's, you know, you might think, okay, I'm doing this podcast because you're passionate about it, but you are literally, you're sharing a gift, and you are changing lives, and you don't even realize it probably, just by being able to use this as a vehicle to share your story. And you do a really good job. And I appreciate that we got to become friends on social and that you invited us.
Oh, thank you. And you guys are just awesome and incredible. I'm late to binge watching your show. I will admit that. I have a life outside of podcasting, so I get busy. But I love your friendship and your comedy, and just, you guys should have your own TV show at this point, honestly, or to be honest. But I love what you do. And I mean, it's not, your show is positive and humor, and it's not negative, and it just touch on something. You touch on movies, which affects everyone. And I'm just so honored to have you on my podcast to talk about movies, like all layers of life. And just, I'm just so unbelievably happy that we were able to do this, and just thank you so much.
Oh no, thank you.
Absolutely.
Honestly, it was a pleasure.
Yeah, it was so much fun. Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Well, guys, we can talk about movies all night day long, which may seem have some technical issues, but however, we're at the end of this winding road of movies. The movies may stop here, but they will keep on going. So thank you again, Jackie and Danielle, for joining me in this special episode. It was a real pleasure, of course, to talk about movies and all walks of life in general. If you enjoyed this episode, if you want to share your own top 5 movies as far as what you love, do not hesitate to do so. But here are the ways you can listen to this episode. You can find us on Facebook at the Words of Heart Podcast. We're also on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify, and Google. Again, thank you, Danielle and Jackie, for joining me. It was a real pleasure. Again, watch movies, love movies, laugh, cry, have a snorkel. I think that's a but either way, from all of us here at the Words of Heart Podcast, again, I am your host. Stay healthy, stay safe. If you're listening to the moon right now, I come in peace. It's all about love here, and I'm pretty sure you can watch movies on the moon. I'm going to discuss that just like everything else, but until then, stay healthy, stay safe, and just a little silly humor to end up the show. Stay healthy, stay safe, and don't forget to rewind your movies. Until
Bye.
Bye.